Today, the House is set to vote on the Protecting Our Kids Act, a major piece of legislation that addresses gun violence. Last week, the House Judiciary Committee advanced the bill in a contentious hearing where not a single Republican joined Democrats in supporting the package.
They claim that we should support ensuring that people who are an imminent danger to themselves and others, such that they might commit mass murder, have a constitutional right to access a firearm. You know who didn't have their constitutional right to life respected? The kids at Parkland and Sandy Hook and Uvalde and Buffalo, and the list goes on and on. So spare me the about constitutional rights.
That was Democratic Congressman David Cicilline of Rhode Island, who joins us now. He's a member of both the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs committees, and we appreciate your coming on this morning.
You know, it is really crazy, and it is one of the frustrating things that you debate people who went to Ivy League law schools, who understand constitutional law, who actually clerked on the court when Heller was drafted. And they will get on TV and they will just lie through their teeth. They will lie through their teeth and claim the Second Amendment says things that it doesn't say about military weapons. They will lie through their teeth and say universal background checks infringes on the Second Amendment. They will lie through their teeth. They will say that any small gun safety piece of legislation will, again, impede Americans' Second Amendment rights. It is an abject, total lie. And if you don't believe me, just read Scalia's words in Heller. And yet they just keep lying. You used another word, which actually may be more appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. I think part of it is they can't explain their irrational opposition to common sense gun safety legislation that the vast majority of Americans support. And we passed a bill that will raise the age at which you can buy an assault rifle, ban ghost guns, provide for safe storage of firearms, and trafficking so you can't buy guns for third parties that can't buy them, and a number of other really important provisions. And they oppose that. They also have blocked passage of strengthening criminal background checks and closing the Charleston loophole, which have been sitting in the Senate for months. And so there's one party, that is the Democrats. We're fighting for common sense gun safety legislation that will help reduce gun violence in this country. And the Republican Party is standing in opposition to all of it. And look, we have a gun violence epidemic in America. Guns are the leading cause of death for America's kids. Let that sink in. The leading cause of death are guns. 227 school shootings this year alone, over 200 mass shootings, and we have a huge public health crisis as a result of it. And our Republican colleagues just are unwilling in any way to be part of the solution. And a lot of folks say, oh, it's the power of the gun lobby. Look, this town is filled with powerful lobbyists who are advocating for whatever positions they have. It's up to the elected officials to stand up, do what's right for your constituents, show the courage to do what's right to protect people you represent. And there's nothing more basic than our responsibility to keep people alive as representatives in Congress.
I mean, we're at a point, Congressman, I don't know if you could speak directly to your Republican colleagues, but isn't the math against them? Isn't a mass shooting coming to a district near them? And I'm not trying to be exaggerating on this issue, but you look at the numbers of mass shootings, they are daily, and they don't discriminate. They're across the country. So these lawmakers are walking past or passing up the opportunity of legislation that ultimately could stop what is coming to a district near them, mass shootings.
Right, and the lives that they save could be the lives of their own constituents.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a mass shooting every day in this country, or nearly every day in this country. There are shootings of individuals with firearms every day. 110 people a day die at the hands of a gun. This is, by the way, a very peculiar problem in America. It doesn't exist in any other developed country in the world, and part of that reason is because it's so easy for dangerous people with serious mental illness, to access firearms. And the arguments my Republican colleagues make is, oh, just get more guns, have school teachers have weapons, and principals. And if that were the answer, we would be the safest country in the world. There are over 400 million guns in America, more guns than people, 110 guns for every 100 people. So that has not worked. And we know things that do work. The assault weapons ban is the thing that worked. When that was in place, mass shootings declined substantially. When it was allowed to expire, they have tripled. These are weapons of war that don't belong in the communities that we serve. So we have real answers. We're going to pass a great bill today. We're going to pass another bill tomorrow to make sure guns don't get into the hands of people with serious mental illness. And our Republican colleagues should join us in this effort to help keep our communities safe.
Congressman, good morning. We've been talking a lot lately to Senator Chris Murphy, who's in the Senate negotiation, as you know well, about how to get something done here. And he said he believes that Republicans, many of them, are negotiating in good faith, that he sees more willingness to get something done than he's ever seen before, perhaps just trying to project a little public confidence anyway and to keep the negotiation moving. But take us inside the room on the House side. Do you believe that you've got Republicans who are willing to work with you? You got a handful of votes. Anybody who might be willing to move forward on these larger issues that we're talking about, let's say raising the age to 21 to buy an AR-15?
Well, I hope so. It's hard to explain why legislation which is supported, some of it by 90% of the American people, is controversial, or somehow you have to have courage to do it. It's about respecting what your constituents expect you to do. So I hope we will get some Republican support. As Mika mentioned, we didn't get any in the committee. We saw one Republican who came out in support of the assault weapons ban, and he was essentially driven from running for re-election again. So I hope we'll get some Republicans, but I think our responsibility is to get these bills to the Senate, because they're going to save lives, they'll make a difference, and it's then on them to explain to the American people why they haven't moved these bills forward and why the Republicans continue to oppose every single common sense measure we send to them. I hope they won't, but if they do, I think the voters in November will have to decide, do you want to elect folks who are serious about ending gun violence in America and who are going to pass responsible gun safety legislation, or do you want to elect Republicans who are going to stand in the way of anything and we're going to continue to have this carnage all across the country? When you listen to the stories of these children in some of the most recent shootings, it is so heartbreaking, so horrifying, and the answer cannot be we're going to do nothing.
Yep, it can. Democratic Congressman David Cicilline of Rhode Island, thank you very much for being on this morning.